Welcome back to the Challengers League here. We are in our spring split, and this is week number 3's kickoff. What a week to be in. We also have Team Liquid Challengers just coming off their first win of the split, just did a series, and it's huge stuff. I'm Mazel, I'm joined by Beatdown, and what a game it was in game number 1. They had us in certain moments, I feel like.
Yeah, I think I was pretty TL favored pretty much from the start once I saw the draft in the first 5 minutes of the game. So the thing that I liked, at least for DSG's side, to give them some credit, something I noticed watching their first game against FlyQuest, and Young even attests to this, saying that they had nerves on their first match that they were getting over and things like that. They didn't do anything during that first series. And I just watching the whole VOD, I'm just going through it, I'm like, okay, play anything? And there was just nothing. So I really like that Perry was trying to make these early plays, even in this losing position, was forcing really the only options available to him. And that's more of what I expect from him as a player and more of what I like to see overall.
Yeah, I think some of the mind games fell a little flat, at least, but we did see some good moves, at least earlier on. A big focus for us was the jungle matchup, but yeah. I do wonder, though, now, because we do have to think about it. Going into game number 2, we are Fearless Draft. Everybody has to remember that the picks that we saw in that first game are no longer available to the players. Yeah, so we have to see those change up.
Yeah, so I'm very interested to see if there's going to just be, just the handshake emoji situations
Asante
where,
trucks?
Or, the one for me is Ori Azir. It's okay, I had my turn to play Orianna, now it's your turn. And, okay, well, now I'm going to pick Azir because, that's what we do. That's what the meta is. Or maybe we'll see something spicy. Who knows?
Can't stop looking at the Rek'Sai blush.
That's the first time I'm seeing that one, and I'm like, Rek'Sai? It is.
Anyways, I do think, especially with our focus on jungle, I do want to highlight a little bit of what we expected and what we got out of the mid lane. We got the Azir that we expected, I feel like. But more particularly, it feels like Roamer actually had some really good responses on the Orianna and really good map rotations as well.
Yeah, I think from the first game, I thought Roamer individually was pretty good. And I liked what I saw particularly this game too. Really good shockwaves. I thought his team fighting for the most part was really good. There were a couple moments where he gets caught when he shouldn't, but I'll also give him the credit where there was a moment where remember the horror movie joke that you made where he sensed something was wrong and he didn't get caught. I was a big fan of that. Because there were moments where if there wasn't such a big goal deficit, he dies before a major objective. And that's definitely something to keep an eye out because in those even game states, that loses you games.
So again, going back to the Fearless conversation, let's go ahead and bring up the graphic we have, the show-offs, the bands that each team is going to be working with going into game number 2. That's what I love about Fearless, is you can come out with a strategy, you can come out with something that you feel really confident about, that you can get a win on. And right now it feels like Team Liquid Challengers have the upper hand. They grabbed the Ivern, something of a niche pick there. You have the Ezreal as well, a lot of adaptation coming in the bottom lane. But some big picks taken off the board here for both sides.
Yeah, right. A great comp like that, especially with how successful it was for TL. That's the exciting thing about Fearless. It's like, okay, you won game 1. You had a great draft. Now do it again, but with someone else.
Do it again.
Yeah, that's literally... Yeah, do it again, but differently. You cooked a really nice dish. Now I want you to cook something else for me to see
it seems like
what they're able to do. That when you frame it like that, I actually think you're right. But these are the rules. NACL gods have spoken.
The rules.
And they want something else cooked for them.
Yeah, speaking of cooking, though, I do expect the Azir to be switched over on the other side as well. Things like that, though, are curious to me because a big highlight for me coming into this one was the fact that, yes, I knew Azir was going to be picked, but both these guys like to pick power picks into it. We've seen the likes of the Tristanas, the Nikos, the Akalis.
Yes.
I really like a lot of those picks that go into that one, and even with Azir power pick, we saw the Orianna actually be a big answer there as more team fight activation.
Yeah, and Ori's I think this past year has been super great into the Azir. And Akali, I'm really glad you called out. That is in Young's wheelhouse. He played it, even though they lost in their previous series, had a really good game himself. And it's good into the Azir. It's something he is very comfortable on as a player. We always see him on these melee assassins for champs. So I'm excited to see if he ends up pulling that out.
Well, we had a little bit of a delay, but now we're ready to get going. Let's get into game number 2's picks and bans, as it will be disguised on the blue side, Team Liquid Challengers on the red side this time around. It's an immediate Kennen ban, a respect towards Jenkins, one of the best to do it on that champion.
Yeah, I mean, it's one, I can't remember who, but someone said that Jenkins is a 3-trick, and Kennen was one of the ones pointed out. He's actually very good on the champ, and I also think it's quite good. So, overall, there are some respect paid towards Jenkins on the top side. I'm interested to see what else is prioritized to be taken away. I have a feeling Seraphine Senna probably gone.
I would say that's the likely candidate. It's just funny to me that back to the Jenkins point is for a long time, yes, we always do as his favorite champion. We always ask him about it. He's like, I don't want to play that champion. It doesn't work right now. All of last year, then we saw him start taking it out when it started getting some buffs, and he was pretty happy about it. But respect bans have to be there, especially when we talked a little bit more about the Fearless stuff and where a lot of these spicy picks, the champions that players are known for, can be big difference makers.
Yeah, and it's interesting the dynamic that's created, because you can see right below our names where the champs that were picked in game 1 that aren't available for both teams. So it gives you new things that you can be taking away. Like, for example, I like that DSG went the route of getting rid of the Tristana. That really tells me that they are thinking about going for the Akali, because the matchup sucks. And we know Roamer plays the Tristana, so, we can glean a little bit of what people are trying to do.
Yeah, I also think it's really good into the Azir, and I actually expect Roamer just to pick that one up here, which I would be interested at why they wouldn't just maybe ban the Azir here, but it does end up making it through. The Kalista also, though, something that has made it through that we don't get to see very often because it's banned.
I was going to say, because it's always banned, and it getting through this time makes me think TLC are ready for it. We could see the Varus in with the Milio coming through here, because it's almost certainly going to be the Renata or Boom on the side of DSG, because that's like the premier combo in that bottom lane, where even in matchups where it's a little volatile, Kalista can still run it over and generate this insane lead.
I'm curious what they want to pair for it as well, because the Ashe is obviously a typical answer. The Vi is also still on the table. The Rumble ends up being the second pick, at least for Team Liquid Challengers.
I like it. It's you got a lot of damage. It's pretty safe blind, and when you're playing into something like the Kalista, I mean, she's playing pretty much in your range as well, so it does make it a little harder for Minui to really get through some of these team fights. And actually, now that I say that, I've never seen Minui play Kalista. It's usually not something we've seen from him. We've seen the mages, we've seen the Lucians, the Aphelios being one of his favorites, the Vigar, things like that. But Kalista is a new one.
I'm curious to see what they pair up with it, too, because a pick that we don't get to see rarely often needs to do well, it feels like. And they have that single target lockdown, really big combo for Kalista later on, just to make sure. And there it is, Young Akali making it through.
Yeah, it makes sense. I have a feeling that may have been banned in that second rotation, because we still could very likely see Roamer go towards that Azir. A good matchup for him, but it's tough because now you open up that Renata to being banned away, and I'm kind of waiting to see what DSG are going to pair up with this Vi, because I always say you need dive buddies. Vi can't just go in by herself. It feels terrible. It's not fun to watch because they just go in and die most of the times. Akali kind of okay, into Rumble? Cooking. No, he's going to get cooked. What I'm really interested in is whether or not we're going to see like a Rakan. Oh, no, actually, Poom played it, so that one's out. Maybe he ends up going Nautilus or something along those lines.
I really like the Blitzcrank ban. Just take something off the table that can absolutely destroy a game. The Renata also, a likely duo with the Varus, taken off the table. I think when we see the rest of the second phase bans, I think there are still some big picks to pair up with the combos that you were talking about. I still see the Maokai on the table here, which for me has to be a prio pick going into the second phase here. The Cassante, the final ban by Team Liquid Challengers.
Wow, so it ends up being the Azir. Interesting. I think this game, especially if you're planning to pick something tankier in the support role, you're okay letting Maokai go through, partially because you already know what the jungle is. Because, between Rumble and Poppy, I mean, that's your top jungle right there. I
really like Maokai's support, though. I'm just saying.
I like it, but I I don't know if it's good into Kalista. I feel like he's going to get run over. So the Jace, that's good, because that should actually be a good matchup for Roamer. It will end up being a tough lane for Young early on, but if he can get out of it even, he's still going to be able to affect the back line going forward. What I want to see still is, what's support? What's top? Oh, they heard you! But it was the opposite. You're still a genius. I'll give it to you.
The Ode pickup is there, though, as well, so that'll be a spicy top lane matchup, too. We'll see what the final pick is going to be as well. Try to get something at least engage heavy, I feel like, out of the bottom lane here with the Varus.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, I'm kind of wondering if it's something... Wow, this one is tough. Maybe like Alistar or something? Because I'm thinking of champs that can absorb engage, who like to get engaged on, because right now I look at DSG's comp. This is like everyone's putting on their diving caps and they're full sending it. This is actually really scary to play into overall as a Jace, as a Varus. So
the only one I'm worried about is Kalista. for Manu.
Yeah,
gonna be a little bit of trouble, but a lot of mobility there too.
100%, and there is opportunity for Keel to mess with him with that steadfast presence. But overall, I think the Alistar was probably the best bet that you could have gone for. The engage is so good for DSG, and this is basically post level 6. Everyone is just throwing their ults up, and that's kind of what you're playing for in a lot of these fights. TLC, actually very similar to game 1 in a way. As long as you get through that initial burst, that initial engage, that is how you end up winning.
And I do wonder how aggressive Keel can play on this Poppy as well. Maybe a little bit different into the Vi. But they have really good setup around objectives. That's the biggest look for me for Team Liquid Challengers. As we hit the rip for the second game of the day, DSG trying to pull it back and bring us to a 3-game series.
Well, it's going to be... I was going to say it's going to be a tough one. Not really. I actually think...
Rate the skin. 1 out of 10.
I think that's Nurse Akali, right?
Mm-hmm. But it's the pink chroma.
I mean, the pink chroma is what's selling it to me, but it's not my favorite. I don't use this one that often.
Wow.
But also, I don't know. I'm like a... I don't know what to call it, but like every time a new one comes out, I just end up using that one. Ever since like KDA came out. Like the first KDA.
Flavor of the month type of guy,
That's
huh?
literally me
wow.
with this champion.
Oh, Poom. This is a little bit of trouble. You got the hammer slam there, but Poom making it out alive. Going to be a little bit worse for wear in the laning phase to get the ward too, so no early vision for Team Liquid.
That is pretty nice. I mean, that was something that DSG were trying to do to Keel in game 1, and that early vision is super important. I mean, for both of these junglers, just to get an idea of where the play is going to be, where you can expect them at any minute of the game. And just to revisit your question, Lennon, you're saying, can Keel be aggressive in this early game? And my answer is yes. He is quite good on these early game champions. We've seen him play things like the Poppy, like the Maokai, where you can look for a lot of ganks. And this is just another opportunity for him to do it.
I'm just saying, bring me back the days where Keel is going unstoppable on Viego. On these aggressive champions. I love the actual kill pressure champions. I think the Poppy does provide a lot of pressure itself. But Keel really making his name known last year on those aggressive, completely table your enemy style junglers. And I'm curious now, especially with this matchup. And Nunu. Also, that's what I talked about earlier, is kind of that trendsetter it felt like Keel was, or has been at least in Tier 2.
Yeah, I mean, during his time on Wildcard last year, too, he would talk about how, at times, they would think that they would have a different opinion of the game and what is strong. And I think that's what contributed to some of Wildcard's success there for Keel.
Ooh. Engage under turret. Boom. Woo. That tree is a little bit on fire there. There is a dive being played up towards top side, but parry is there as defense. Keel's going to walk right into it. A nice little vault breaker to the face. Jenkins walking over here. Does have the flames there, rather. Takes that extra tower shot, though, meaning they have to back away.
And that's just a great read from Perry. And it's something we've seen and talked about often from him as a jungler, is that he's really good at reading and responding to what other junglers are able to do. And that's just a perfect example right there. Could have been a big dive onto Tenacity, and now even this invade Keel is going for might not actually work. Maybe we have a 50-50.
I love that we're just getting this scuffle of these two guys we put so much of a highlight on. Keel just says, "You're still here? Let's fight." This is a big difference, though. The skirmish power of a Vi early is very powerful, but Keel is looking to run him down. Gets the flash, double flash out, and Perry makes it out alive.
Wow, we're getting bloody. Young is here. He's level 4. No flash.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure
Keel.
this is just a kill.
Yep, here he goes. He's got that steadfast presence, knocking into the blue, but here comes Boom, and everybody's coming to claim this one. First blood to Young and Disguise.
He had to blow his flash to get it, but getting the red buff into that Jace matchup also feels really good, and it's Keel getting punished for overstaying just a little bit. You pair that with the roam for Boom, it looks good. No, you don't. No, you have to earn it, Lennon.
See these two
That's how
boxing
these
in the jungle, and your first instinct is to go in and interrupt it.
This isn't boxing, Lennon. This is WWE. Anyone can jump in from the top
Where's
ropes.
the music that beat down? I needed an intro music whenever they were coming in. I don't know they're here.
But that's the thing. It's the element of surprise. The music just gives it away.
That would be hilarious if every time there was a gank, there was intro music.
Oh my. Could you imagine? What would your intro music be as a jungler?
Ooh, that's a great question. I'll have to come back to that for sure.
Yeah.
We do have a roam coming down in the mid lane. Roamer overextending a little bit, and Perry's coming over as well with another flank. The Vault Breaker is going to get in there, but a nice knockback with the hammer slam.
Well done.
The double knockback. Perry just got moved halfway across the map.
That was a really nice setup from Kim Down. I mean, the fact that they turn this 2v3 into a successful kill their way, and it only cost Kim Down's flash, is just a really good look. So instead now, you get a kill onto Roamer, equalizing him there with Young. And this is what TLC need to make happen. That early aggression that we were talking about to get themselves a bit of a lead. Not necessarily because they get outscaled, but it's going to be really hard for them to play into this dive comp as time goes on. I mean, we're just going to see it again. Really nicely done here. All their CC. Perry's just thinking to himself, "Oh, cool. I just can't move. All right. Whatever."
I did see the grubbies being taken in picture-in-picture. Keel going for the twofer here against the Scuttle Crab. It did take away 2 of those already. Should be able to clear off this third one very quickly. So at least some trading of objectives this time around, something we didn't see in that game 1.
Right. It makes sense. With who's getting what. I mean, DSG, when you have the pushing bot lane, it's really easy for you to get the dragon for yourself. And the Mountain Dragon early also feels pretty nice. I mean, you get those extra resistances, the bonus resistances, so whenever you build any defensive items, they're just that much more effective. And you can start stacking towards that Dragon Soul.
First Mountain Dragon, pretty worth there at least as well. Some extra stats in tow.
Yeah.
But the next look for me is looking at how Perry and Keel can take advantage of this mid lane, because I feel like we're right on the cusp of mid lane being an extremely important factor. Both of these guys having 1 kill apiece, but an unlocking factor for both teams, right? You get the range poke really doing damage for Roamer. That sets up objectives for the Ron or TLC. On the other side, Young can just assassinate people if he gets too far ahead.
Yeah, that's right. And again, Young is being that player who's, we say, laning is what he needs to improve on, but team fighting is just fine for him, especially when he's playing these assassins. He's really good at finding angles and being able to access the backline. So Roamer, Spawn, they're going to have to beware in these 5v5s, and someone is going to have to mark this Akali, because even in that even game state, he is going to be able to make a lot of moves.
We didn't actually, after that first invade, see any more actual map movement around being really aggressive in the jungle. I think that's been the theme so far. Keel, both games, had gone for something around like the 6-7 minute mark. And then since after that, for like 10 minutes, there's no aggression, because it's just trying to feel out how Perry's going, and a lot of that, at least skirmishing, we have been getting between these two.
Right now, like you said, things have slowed down quite a bit. The next dragon coming up in 3 minutes time, and we're actually going to get that second round of grubs today as well, or this game as well. Means that top side might end up being where our focus is in these next couple of minutes. But of course, when Kalista is on the board, there's always action to be had, even in isolated lane matchups. Again, this is a new pick for Manui, at least from what I've seen from watching him these last couple of years. Usually not so big into the lane-dominant champions, except for those times where you'll see him pick the Lucian Milio, you'll see him pick the Aphelios, and things like that. But so far, it's all right.
Look at mid lane now, and Perry found that ult button right onto Roamer. Here comes Poom as well, and again, knocked back. Roamer gonna flash the bird.
Nice.
It's not, and Young gets the kill. That's 2-0 for the mid laner of Disguised.
And any gold on this Akali this game is good gold. Young, as long as he walks away from this, which he will be able to do so, is just in a really good position now. I like that DSG are committing to this mid play. I mean, you're getting this, basically getting this two-pronged victory here. I mean, you're setting this Jace behind, who's supposed to be a lot of damage for your team in that mid to late game, and you're getting this backline assassin extra gold as well. This is a win-win.
And I was talking about how quickly we can see Perry and Keel visit that mid lane. Well, it was Disguised who got there first. And I think moving forward now, it is something to think about because there is that power now out of mid lane. I think there's a lot of scaling factors on Disguised, and now Tenacity going for a 1v1 against Jenkins. We'll get the equalizer out of him. Both ultis utilized.
Right, and it's just that extra bit of pressure, trying to get this wave in as best he can, see if he can get any crucial cooldowns out. Like, he is really trying to pressure Jenkins as much as he can just to help Perry get this setup for Vision on the top side. It does mean to me that they're looking to set up for these next grubs, and there it is. Right as I say it, they've spawned, and he's going to be able to get some for himself. Because remember, Keel got the first few ones, so if Perry is able to secure at least 2 of these, it just means neither team are going to be able to get the Void Mites. So you just kind of neutralize
Episode
them.
2 of the Telegrubbies.
The Telegrubby. I'm calling them that. I like that.
We do have Keel coming, though. He wants to try to fight over this. Absolutely. Tenacity, though, he's used everything. He's got the Unbound Soul, but he's going to have to go right back. He's got the lifesteal. Really big. Jenkins out of that Flame Spitter. We got the fights going on all over the place. Meanwhile, Perry gets blasted on. Oh, Keel with a beautiful knockback. And that'll be into the grubbies here for TLC.
So it is a kill that you end up giving away, and it's looking like Keel, I didn't see how many he got the first time, but he may actually have been able to get 5 of the Telegrubbies, as he so lovingly called it. But DSG didn't get a nothing for this. Because Kim Down was roaming to come to this play, you would have seen on the minimap that Manui and Poom forced Spawn to drop a good amount of waves just so that they could hit the turret. So at least the bot lane is advancing and taking advantage of those opportunities.
I'm sure we're about to get a redistribution of power, though, on the bottom side of the map, because DSG had already gotten that first dragon. Probably looking to stack up some more, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, Young, he's teleporting back to lane. Doesn't quite have his first item ready yet, but it's still a pretty decent spot to be in as an Akali. And now it's just the members of DSG trying to clear out Vision and trying to get themselves set up so that they can just go ahead and start this. They actually want to rush this, it looks like. I don't think they'll get that chance.
They're going to try to burn it here. Poom has a flank angled. Nature's Grass coming across. Keel already locked down. They actually find the backline here, and Young finds Rover. He's trying to shut him down, but it's Kim Down that gets the first kill of the fight. And it's traded right back, though, as now he got that perfect execution right out of there from Young.
Yeah, but you lose Perry in the process. It was a good angle, and I liked what DSG were going for because they didn't want the straight 5v5. But now you don't have a smite to contest it anymore, so your Drake stacking has been halted. Keel's going to go ahead and be able to easily take that one out. It doesn't bode too poorly for your overall game plan. I think DSG are fine and scale pretty well later on into the game, but...
Oh, Tenacity.
Goodbye.
Burned to a crisp by Jenkins.
Oh, this is cut and dry. That felt... You know what? He's playing Yone, so I can't even pretend to be salty about it. You know what I'm talking about, Lemon. You play AD carry. Doesn't that feel good?
Don't
you just want to say deserved?
Anything. There's just nothing. No, I don't know.
I don't know. See, you're hesitating.
I get
you know,
run down by both of them, so I don't want either of them to win.
Yeah, but if you had to pick one, real quick, don't even think about it. Gut feeling.
Rumble, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, see there. I knew it.
Anybody that's faced up against a late game Yone will probably say the same. But that is something to think about a little bit more. Is there are some really big pieces to DSG as time goes on in this, right? Like you're gonna have so much backline access against TLC.
Right. But we did see an example in that last team fight where it didn't quite work out the way DSG would have hoped for. So hopefully later on, for their sake, they'll be able to actually win out on some of these fights. Now that Young has gotten that first item with the Rocket Belt, does mean that he will be doing that much more damage and will hopefully be able to secure kills against somebody like Spawn, somebody like Roamer, if he gets a gank. But I will say, Lennon, this is a better look than Game 1 for DSG, because remember, at this point in time, they were down like 3,000 gold. Now it's only one. Who cares? It barely counts. I mean, we can just look at this.
Let's go.
You know what I mean?
Using the tools.
We're using the tools. That's right.
Let's
no
go.
big deal. I know how to press buttons. Don't worry about it.
Wow. Look at this guy. Can you imagine knowing how to press buttons? I don't know how to do that. We do have the Rift Herald, though, started up by DSG. Also want to check in because we have some item completions. I feel like that's what's giving some of that priority to DSG right now. The Sundered Sky for Perry getting a lot of skirmish power there.
100%. I mean, same thing with the Blade of the Ruin King. Right now, Manui is also in a pretty solid spot. Not just the kill, but also the plates that he was able to get early on, pressuring Spawn under his turret and away from his turret. Does mean that DSG, they have a pretty good window to fight right now. We're still a few minutes away from the next Drake. There could just be an option for them to try and play to this Akali. This pick is so good once you get out of that laning phase, because you have the ability to duel so many different champions. And the fact is, if you give this champ a gank as well, and you just give it more gold, it just feels that much more oppressive to play against.
It really does. I know you know that pretty well.
I played a couple games.
There's a reason why I asked you which skin you like the best, and if you like this one, and judging Young, because we got the Akali expert here.
You know what?
Thank you, observers.
To each their own. I don't judge Young for it. It's just not the skin I would pick. That's all. That's all.
And so if you say that's not the skin, then what skin is it? You just say it's the flavor.
I told you, because right now
that's not an answer.
Okay, if I had to get rid of all skins and all Akali skins, I had to pick one forever. Even though I currently use actually, may need to hold that thought.
Yeah,
they got him.
That's a nice little steal. As I think that might be some trouble here for Gil. He's got a nice little combo.
He's alive.
It's just getting bullied on the other side, and DSG come away with nothing.
Wow, that's actually really tough. They committed, 3 ultimates a minute before Drake, and they don't end up securing it. That was a pretty big gamble that ends up failing. You get that? That's a tier 1, and your Drake chances look good.
Oh, Jenkins running him down, looking for another solo, but luckily Young's got some mobility. The burn, though. The Ignite, it's ticking, but it's not going to be enough to get him down.
He had to flash for that one, but well played to Young all the same. And Jenkins using that information that everyone was topside to comfortably make that play. So now TLC, they want to go for something too.
They just got a TP in now as well, as DSG going for the long con play. Get Rover. No, they can't get him. No way this happens again.
You gotta be kidding me.
DSG, you gotta start praying to RNGesus or something, because it's not working.
And this is the power of that Alistar pick we saw coming through. I said it in the draft, this was a champion that likes to be dived into and can set up plays, and with this TP, they're setting up another.
The tower. Young has an angle here. He can potentially get out, but he's not going to find it, and Keel gets the kill.
Wow. And I said by this time last game, DSG were much further behind, but it seems like they find themselves sliding once again. So many of their plays just don't seem to work out for them. TLC outplay. They manage to live with the tiniest amount of health, and then they find plays for themselves that end up being successful. And now this gold lead, it's gone up to 2,000. Yes, DSG are able to pick the second Drake, but I think these last couple of plays are really setting the tone for what Game 2 is going to end up looking like.
I like this tempo, though. I like this pace of game. Yes, you are down, but you cannot stop trying, and DSG have tried, even though they came away lacking last time around. They do get the second dragon for themselves here on the back end of that play. So they got the stacking going that way. They have some of that scaling we were talking about, but I feel like the conversation now needs to become how you get active on the map, because you have this Rift Herald. You want to try to get some value out of it.
True, but it's pretty hard now. I mean, you have your top lane pushed in, you have your mid tier 1 down, and that mid lane pushed in. You don't have an opening right now to actually drop this Herald. It's likely your best bet is going to be mid and bot, and at the moment they just don't really have an opening. I still think there is a chance for DSG to be able to come back, but it's tough because you now are down 2K, 2,500 gold. And what did we say about TLC? You just need to survive the initial burst, Lennon. Well, when your opponent is behind, that gets a lot easier, doesn't it? They have less gold to work with. They have less power. It's crazy.
Huh. That's some
math.
Results-based analysis right there, and
That's
I love
math,
that.
Actually. I don't want to... Don't go misrepresenting me like that.
I'm not a friend of math, so...
You know, honestly, me neither.
Ooh, came down. A little bit of trouble there. Thought he might have to pop that Unbreakable. They're going to try to stop this Rift Herald. It's so funny to me so far today, at least both teams, we haven't found anybody driving the Rift Herald just yet, but here comes the drive from DSG. They're getting the Nature's Grasp across. Parry. Oh, he did it. He got his driver slides down. He's going straight into the turret. He doesn't make it, and he gets obliterated. Oh, Shelly ain't going to save you today, bud.
Oh, man. I mean, getting in there against the Poppy, already super dangerous in my opinion. And it just makes it worse that the Herald didn't even get the charge off. So now you got the Herald, nothing really to show for it there. Yeah, the smite, it's a big deal. TLC just did a good job chunking it down so very quickly to begin with. And now your only real play that was available to you, it's gone, Lennon. Your real hope now is just that you can play to one of your side laners. Because to be fair, I mean, Akali, Yone, both pretty strong. And if you do set up a play for them and get them gold, it only benefits you. So
yeah,
it's kind of the only option left.
And you got to expect the angles to start being a little bit more unique from DSG. It needs to be, right? You've got to find a way to access spawn, roamer as well, Jenkins even to some extent, but DSG looking to play on the bottom side of the map here around Tenacity, around roamer, just like we were saying, and he goes in for the hammer smash, and he might have just paid his life for it as he does end up going down. They finally secure one, and Tenacity gets it.
There you go, and then this is what I'm saying, like this is the only play that DSG really has. Okay guys, they need to walk away though, because if they get taken out, then maybe we have a little bit of an issue, but the saplings, they save Perry's life. Perry, say thank you, Poon.
Maokai OP.
Yeah, Maokai's OP. I don't know what to tell you. Great champ. But
I'm just wondering if there was a world that Team Liquid Challengers wanted the Maokai. If there was.
Say it again.
I said, I wonder if there was a world where Team Liquid Challengers wanted the Maokai.
Maybe. It would have been. It would have been good for them.
Yeah, it absolutely would. And I think that's where this power pick comes from, because you just have so much of the spacing available to you. The Nature's Grass really big, but now we got to get in the seat of Team Liquid Challengers because they are driving away right now. We do have some item completions coming online. The Monimune, the Hex Drinker actually picked up from Roamer, so it was already popped the last time he went down. But it's something to think about moving forward because you're also starting to get Spawn come online with these attack speed items.
Yeah, I mean, Spawn, despite all the attention bot side, he's keeping up in itemization. He's actually slightly ahead of Manui at the moment with that Amptome coming through. And that one's really tough because right now, the play for DSG, it's always been that all-in. Oh, need to hold that thought. Oh, okay, he's fine.
A little bit of trouble. Manui's pretty swift with it, though. Still had the cleanse and the flash.
Yeah, and it's good for him that he managed to keep both, because we're likely going to see these two teams come at each other either right before the next Drake fight or in the river as it spawns. Because DSG... Oh, hold on.
He's just doing Yone thing, you know.
It didn't work.
Oh, well, Young just got gapped by Roamer, apparently.
Yeah. Well paid. There's really nothing else to say there. I had this whole thing about how DSG, they could play for Soul still, since they have two Drakes. This could have been their third, but
Yeah.
Why don't you tell me how long till the next Drake comes?
Oh, well, you know, that's about in 13 seconds. Rover,
Yeah.
though, this has been the case in this game. It's
Oh, they
always
got
a
him.
punish,
They did
but
get him.
a beautiful keeper's verdict. Oh, Rover still getting chased down there. Keel tried his darndest. Can't save his mid later. We'll be trying to take down Mr. Poom here. Needs to be a little bit more careful. Unfortunate for TLC, they do lose one.
They do, and now there's this opportunity for DSG to just set up vision topside, walk it down to the Dragon, and get their third, because Romer is still 25 seconds, but he does have teleport, so if they're going to go for it, it has to be literally this second. I don't care about this mid-wave right now, like, just go secure the Drake.
They are bolting it down there now. They will go ahead and start that one up. There will not be a contest out of Team Liquid Challengers.
Oh,
so
look at topside.
Point as, yeah, Baron is being pinged right now by Keel. I think it's a little thing. I think he's getting word from his teammates. Like, yeah, no, I don't think so.
Oh, yeah, you know what? Spawn wasn't there. Now it looks like they may want to go ahead and start it. Spawn, worth noting, he has the Seeker's Arm Guard, so that's why he had that Amp Tome. He will have stasis in these team fights, and that is such a big deal for this dive comp that DSG are going for.
This is bold. Team Liquid Challengers find themselves on a precipice as the Baron goes over. It goes to Keel, and now they need to get out of here. Nature's Grasp. Young with the long-range engage gets Keeper's verdict out of there. Poom goes with the Fate's Call. He's still holding it. He's waiting as now he goes as the big engage is not there. Young is back at it again, but it doesn't matter. The rest of his team has already made the escape, and he is gone. It's Kim down, eating him up in the field at TLC. 5,000 gold in the lead.
They get away with the Baron and then some, Lennon. The Spawn didn't even have to use the stasis in that fight. It was such a great ult from Keel to get Young out of the picture. And now with the Baron buff in tow, all the gold that you got from it, you pretty much have everything you need to drive yourself to a win.
Go ahead and take down some more structures, a gigantic gold differential, and a fight just beautifully executed by Team Liquid Challengers.
Yeah, and remember, TLC, they were already pretty far ahead at this point, and keep an eye on Young on the Sakali. We talked about backline access. We talked about his ability to take people out like Spawn, but look what happened. An excellent keeper's verdict. That whole fight, he did maybe 100 damage, if that, and it instantly becomes lost for the side of DSG.
Yeah, and you see the desperation to get back in for Young.
Yeah.
He just realizes that if he was there in that fight,
Maybe it's different.
a completely different moment.
Yeah.
And just trying to make something happen out of nothing. It's understandable, but DSG starting to grasp at the roots here that are coming up underneath them, trying to drag him down.
I don't know if they're going to be able to grasp him, Lennon. This is a 7k gold lead, and it's only going to grow. There's still a minute left on this Baron. Maybe we see one more push coming through, but as long as TLC back, and to spend all that gold that they've earned.
Can we just say as well, like, I think this is a welcome sight for Team Liquid Challengers fans, but also for the team itself, right? Like, this is a team that should be fighting for the upper rings. It's been a really long 3 weeks, right? Like, the schedule doesn't necessarily reflect playing games all the time, and these are the first games that it really feels like Team Liquid Challengers are coming together. And Tenacity's got to be paying the burden of a solo bolo yet again. Jenkins, he's just had Tenacity's number all game long.
I think you just got to build Kanik Rookert yourself at this point. There's no item that there's no champ that item isn't good on anyway. But in the 1v1, Tenacity is in a really tough spot. But that's just the gold deficit we find ourselves in. We saw earlier that things were pretty even. Well, now it's not even close. TLC, it's just crossing the T's and dotting the I's at this point. And I like your point about how good this team has looked today versus before. It's a welcome improvement. Even right as the split started, I talked to Keel about Romer and how difficult it might be to integrate a player coming from LCK Challengers like that. And he says it was tough, but they are getting through it. And it really shows today in how well Romer has been playing and how well I think TLC have been playing together as a whole. Because it's night and day compared to match number 1.
Yeah, and we're getting shades of the personality of these players too, because these are all players that have come, except for Kim Down, obviously, come from different avenues, right? And I think Keel was a big force on Wildcard, and I wanted to see that Keel yet again. And I don't feel like we saw that iteration of him. But this game, we've seen the invades early, trying to feel out the jungler, get into their headspace, find a way in under the cracked armor, and I think that's the Keel that we know and love.
Yeah, members of Wildcard would even speak to how much of a leadership role he had on the team, and I'm certain that carries over to his role here on TLC. Him being a very vocal player, is very convinced on how he thinks the game is played, having done interviews and done content with him all throughout 2023.
Good to see him come into his own here. Tenacity will be actually looking for a back-end blink to keep his verdict.
See ya.
Denies the entrance as poor Perry gets tossed back into his jungle.
Yeah, and much like game one, those are the only plays that really could work for you. DSG, they're pretty much out of luck at this point. It is a better showing, I still maintain, than their first series against FlyQuest.
The engage, though, from Poom kind of denies the entrance onto the Chains of Corruption there. In down will pop that Unbreakable. We got a Dragon on the table here, and it's a soul for DSG, but you start seeing that poke landing from Roamer.
Could be the potential for a steal if DSG get the soul and somehow walk away. You know, maybe they could do something, but it's so hard.
God.
Yeah, you just gotta go.
Okay, well, Fate's Call got used. Nothing else going to be taken for it, and it will be the Dragon, number 2 at least for TLC.
And Baron number 2 is going to be up in a minute's time, and that is basically guaranteed to go the way of Team Liquid Challengers. Just trying to see. One thing I think I want to touch on is I like the Zhonya's Hourglass coming through from Spawn. I think something I haven't heard spoken about very much is how buffed some dive comps got, just because these low mobility carries like Varus, like Ashe, can't build stopwatch anymore because the only way you get the stasis is from a 1600 gold item instead of 750 like it was over the last couple of years. So seeing Spawn actually have access to that is such a big advantage in these fights too. So even if DSG get a nice angle, even if Lennon, just close your eyes with me for a second. Picture it. It's the beautiful angle. The Nature's Grasp hits. The cease and desist goes crazy. Everything is just wonderful. And then Spawn uses stasis, even in that perfect scenario.
No way!
I know.
Oh, man, that was a beautiful picture. Thank you for taking me down.
No problem. Thank you for sharing your imagination with me.
Yeah, imagination. Roamer, though, needs to imagine himself in a different part of the town here because DSG trying to take advantage of it. He's speedy little guy, though. Makes it out with that phase rush.
Phase rush doesn't have to blow fly. Oh, Perry's got him.
Perry wants it. Oh, Perry! Go for it, Perry! Go! Go!
He's got him!
He got him. Oh, there we go.
Oh, my God.
Perry cleans it up.
But
Baron.
I was about to say, I mean, we already broke it down. There was no chance of getting it anyway. So at least they managed to get a shutdown, some gold. Wow. Wow. Lennon, I'm going to need you to help me out here. This is really hard. Like,
You're sounding like that On the Range episode where me and Ruff are just sitting there like staring at a blank wall going, wow.
I can't say that's exactly what I'm seeing, but that's pretty much the sentiment I got right now. Just wow. Because it's just a matter of time. It's not if, Lennon, it's when.
It is indeed, and with that Rally Cry Baron buff, it's definitely looking like the start to the finish here. As again, the biggest highlight is the difference that we've seen from Team Liquid in terms of their communication, things like that. But you also have to remember, like, going into this, we don't play as many games in the weekend. Yes, this is a long weekend, but this is 3 weeks in, and Team Liquid just got their first game win. Like, that is huge. This is a celebration, and the fact that they're this far ahead and going to start the week with a 2-0 is huge.
Yeah, it's got to feel good, especially after that first match they had last week against FlyQuest. It was pretty tough. Again, FlyQuest being that team where, like, they're just the best team right now. They are really hard to beat. So you got that one. Unfortunately, it is a single round robin, so you won't get that chance to rematch them unless you make it to the playoffs and you happen to meet them there. So there is still that opportunity for TLC to pick up some wins because they got the hardest one out of the way.
Jenkins gonna
Stasis
get his
is so
shield
cool.
pop there, but yeah, he just goes golden. Now TLC gonna TP Roamer to the mid lane and push it up the gut, it looks like.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of what I was waiting for this whole time. You're so far ahead. You have Baron, just end the game.
Oh, man, he just gets completely locked out. Even with the flash, you ain't making it out of that one. The Chains of Corruption sink deep. Tenacity going for a play pack. Just getting one, at least a response from Disguise, but the base is crumbling around them.
Yeah, right. I mean, the Void Mites are coming through. The Baroned up minions are coming through. Maybe this next wave might be enough.
It's a little scary to end the game right now, and I think TLC are realizing that. Poom, though, needs to realize he can't do that. He gets taken out, and now maybe Young has an angle here. Has that sure can flip, but not going to take it, and some of that poke really starting to come to bear. Oh, my God,
yeah,
Spawn. As now Young goes golden. He is dashing, flashing out, and the Mites starting to do their work as Team Liquid pound on the base of DSG, looking for their second win. Ooh, one little fight as every time they're just trying to do something. There's so many minions. No! DSG fall flat, and Team Liquid Challengers stream forward for their second win of the split and their first series win here at Spring.
A great look coming through from TLC in their second series, Lennon, and definitely a good one to see. I'm going to go ahead and clap with you because that was some good stuff we saw today. No, it wasn't perfect. I think they could have ended that game, a little sooner. Just, who's watching the clock? But I think overall, it's refreshing. After their match against FlyQuest Challengers, it is a good look to see from them. And even though DSG kind of got rocked, is still looking. Things are still looking up for them comparative to last week as well.
And I know I always talk about momentum and a lot of confidence, and I think this team is going to thrive off of this win. We'll see how they do, though. We're going to be talking with Keel after a short little break, so we'll see you there.
Introducing the new foot-long sidekicks at Subway. Try the warm and delicious foot-long cookie, foot-long pretzel, or foot-long churro.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Rally Cry post-game interview. We have none other than the mythical man in the jungle for Team Liquid Challengers. We've got Keel, one of my favorites to talk to. I know you always bring the spice, but also one of the biggest brains, I feel like. How has it been adjusting to Team Liquid Challengers? How has it been finding a new home for yourself after Wildcard?
It's been very different. Like, I think it's just been a long time since I've been on an LCS org, and things just operate way differently, like top to bottom. But it's been fun, and I feel like I'm more free to play maybe more meta or like standard, as odd as that is.
I mean, if anyone watched you playing Wildcard, I think they would last year they would know what you're talking about. And that's kind of what I wanted to ask you about too, because last year, I mean, talking to you, talking to Soligo, people you played with over on Wildcard, would talk about how you were, you know, a big voice, a leadership role on the team. Is that a similar situation for you here on Team Liquid Challenger? Are you still the big voice? Do you drive the decisions?
Yeah, I think I try to a lot. The only thing that's maybe different is I have more other voices, like having their own ideas. I think it's not as much like fully catered to me. Like, I'm like making sure everyone is like playing well in their own individual way. So it's just like about cohesion now.
Interesting. So, talking a little bit more about the way the league's been going itself. Obviously, Fearless, a big change here. It feels like it probably doesn't affect you that much. I feel like your pool is pretty thick. But how do you feel like, as in general, it's kind of been molding into your prep going in? How has it been different, I would say, than last year?
I think it's just confusing for the most part. Like, especially for bot lane, the matchups can be so like specific. Like, needing one champion or having one extra ban is like a big deal for the matchups. So for prep, it's a lot of making sure everyone will have like some pick. Not so much myself, because I feel like jungle you can pick kind of whatever these days. But for other roles, it's not the same. For prep, I think it's honestly not that big of a deal. You just prep for game one and then adjust.
Are we going to see the Nunu anytime? Sorry, I just had to...
No, real. Thank you, Lennon. That's what I also want to know.
There's a Nunu player rank 1. That's all I can say.
Okay.
Ooh,
I'll take it.
All right,
I
like it. I'm here for it.
So, something we talked about early on, even actually after I think the first week, was you know, you're playing with Roamer straight out of LCKCL. He is you know, there's a language barrier in a position that's really important for, you know, being on the same page with the jungler. I think you even mentioned to me how you didn't get to scrim with him very much. He came rather late. How has it been now that you guys have had a couple weeks to play? You guys look really good today. So where do you feel you're at with that?
Roamer is pretty fun to play with. I think even though like we didn't know each other, like even just duoing solo queue, he's just down to go in with me. Like, we tried to like backdoor together an unwinnable game. Like, I can tell he's just very down to fight with me. So it's been fun playing, even though it's a bit of a hurdle. Yeah.
Sure.
But fun to watch. I gotta say that today definitely looked a little bit different. I want to sneak in one last question. Was there a change this week? Was there like a big talking, or does it feel like it's just a culmination of 3 weeks now?
I don't think anything huge, honestly. I think just really fundamentals, and we're just finally starting to get it, is the only thing that's different. Still some throws in like mid game, but I think our early games have been consistently not bad, so just getting better over and over.
All right, give me some shout outs here. Anybody you want to talk about before I let you go?
No, just shout out my new team, shout out Mash, and shout out Wujin Roamer.
All right, well, thank you so much, Keel. It was a pleasure to get to talk with you. I'm sure we'll get to talk to you a lot more often here as we go forward. We're going to go ahead and send it off to a little break, and we'll be right back with our second series.
They said it couldn't be done. They said the world would never accept a cookie this long. Or a churro, and probably not a pretzel either. They also said, under no circumstances should those really long and delicious treats be wildly affordable. To which we said, but we already made them. And they are. Introducing the incredible new foot-long sidekicks. Get one at Subway today.